Yo ho ho! What's going on, boys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you the One Punch Man podcast. Today we're covering chapter 158. A rival ain't bad either. Now, once again, there's mixed reception to the chapter, but we're here to contrast those ideas. Not everybody's going to like what's going on. Some people are going to love what's going on. Some people don't like the consequences or the implications of what's happened here. We're going to address all of those things. Whether you agree with them or not, it's up to you to comment below and let us know. But like the video, subscribe, and let's begin. So, what's going on, boys? How did you guys feel about 158?
I like this chapter a lot more than last chapter. And some of the issues I had with the previous chapter, because that one was, I didn't hate it, but I was very mixed on it. A lot of the issues I had were addressed in this chapter, which retroactively made the last chapter more, because in my opinion doesn't change because that's the material I had at the moment, but it kind of like elevates what the last chapter gave us, in my opinion. Not to say that I think this chapter was great, but I had a lot more fun with this chapter than the last one. So I think we're in a good place right now.
So I enjoyed this chapter, but I feel like it was still a lot of the same stuff that we got from last chapter. And I think contrary to Satsuki, I still didn't enjoy aspects of it in that sense, in terms of power scaling, in terms of what the characters were capable of doing, and then what happens with Sage Centipede. So we'll talk about it as we go through it, but I don't think much of my opinion has changed, though the artwork was still fire, so.
Zenkai boost confirmed. Also, eat your heart out, Sage Centipede. But yeah, much like Sundown said, this is like almost a direct sequel to last chapter, where a lot of the same dynamics are still there. It just continued on, and like Satsuki said, some of the things that you could have issues with have kind of been somewhat rectified, but haven't been fully resolved yet. So there's still room for things to fuck up and for the community to still be pissed off about this whole fight. And I guess we won't know until next chapter, what that final conclusion will be. But not a bad chapter by any means.
Okay, so to address at least one of the controversial positions, right? Personally, this is one that I bring up. I don't like the effect that Gear Spur and One Shotter are able to, I guess, distract Sage Centipede. Now we're grasping at straws, and this is definitely like a tactic that was used for a particular reason. But I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. Like I was impressed by Gear Spur. But am I supposed to like believe that One Shotter is like that thing now? Is this like what's gonna be enough to reduce our opinion of Sage Centipede? I know we've already like had that same feeling because he hasn't shown anything, and everything that he has done has been up against a capable Garou. But are we downplaying Sage Centipede? Are we disrespecting what he's shown? Are we like disregarding what he has done? Or is Sage actually underwhelming?
See, this my answer varies on, like, are you asking what's the difference between my opinion on Sage Centipede from last chapter or the chapter he was introduced in? Because if it's introduced, and overall, like, he's still underwhelming from the idea of I had of him then. But if you're talking about last chapter where I tempered my expectations for him, I actually think he did a lot better.
Oh, that's fucked up.
What's up?
This nigga said he tempered his expectations. Damn, bro. I said, hey, calm down, bitch.
What you mean?
That's what that means, right? Like you have less expectations of him, or like, or elaborate what you mean.
What I meant is I felt severely underwhelmed in the last chapter of Sage Centipede. I was like, yo, I thought, given that he's supposed to be a step above Elder Centipede, I thought he was going to be a lot more impressive last chapter, and he wasn't. So that's what I mean, by I tempered my expectations. But in this chapter, I think like he still isn't at that level I thought he was going to be when he was first introduced. But he looked a lot better here, even though there's still some issues, admittedly. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what Satsuki's saying in the sense of, having adjusted my expectations for Sage Centipede from last chapter. This chapter he did have a better outing, but I'm sitting on the side of the fence where I'm just like, but I didn't want to adjust my expectations of Sage Centipede. I feel like the expectations for Sage Centipede should at the very least be he's better than Elder Centipede. And so far we haven't really seen anything that suggests he's that guy. He hasn't done anything which, to my knowledge, has made him look so much more better than Elder Centipede. He hasn't been clapping people. He hasn't put Garou in a position where we saw him against Elder Centipede and he was struggling his ass off. We've not seen that same kind of panic or fear or, having to rely on the heroes to save people, all that type of stuff. We haven't seen that same response to Elder Centipede from towards Sage Centipede, which is where I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. And I think I agree with Grimm where I was like, well, it's like all it takes is for a sniper to shoot him in the eyes, and he's blinded for however long he was blinded for. I mean, he can still regen like the speed of light, so he's regenerating his eyes, he's coming back strong or whatever it might be. But then I'm just like, but this is like what class is the sniper? I've forgotten his name.
He's
A class.
A class. Yeah, it's like, bro, this is Sage Centipede. He doesn't even have a ranking. He doesn't have like a demon or a dragon level. And his eyes are getting shot out by a sniper who's in like class A. The guy did more damage to him than probably a My Mask could. I'm just like, man, I'm not sure how I feel about that either. So like,
The irony is that My Mask doesn't have eyes right now, which is kind of funny.
My Mask doesn't have a life right now.
Hey, we don't know if he's like Clayface. Who knows? Who knows?
But yes, I get what you're saying, Grimm. Like when that came up, I was like, hey, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I agree, and I'm not like I asked the question: have we as a group, as a community, been downplaying, or has he not really shown anything? But like, he tanked a Sky Orifice from Garou, and I think Metal Bat did a Savage Tornado too in combo. So like, it's not like the story isn't showing that he's clearly stronger than Elder Centipede. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that in regards to scale, in relation, at this level, the guys who are fighting him at this level, he's not doing outstanding in contrast to them. While Elder Centipede was pretty like outstanding in contrast to those guys. And maybe this just says something about Elder Centipede. Like maybe they just weren't in the same tier. I don't know.
No, you're definitely right about that, because with Elder Centipede, it got to a point where like, all right, we need Saitama for this one, bro. This ain't cutting it. I still don't feel that same threat for Sage, despite him supposedly being a stronger monster. I feel like with this fight, I never felt like Metal Bat and Garou weren't going to finish the job, and it doesn't really even have to do with just like narrative reasons. Like just from how the fight has been playing out, I never felt that fear.
It's a good way to put it. I never once felt afraid or like
it's the despair from the characters that I was looking for. Like, with Elder Centipede, we saw Genos going in. I think he literally damages Elder Centipede from the inside out, damages him from the outside in, and even then he still fails. And once again, he thinks about using his self-destruct, and we're just like, ooh, is this the level that Elder Centipede's at? And Genos is basically at wit's end, we knew that Saitama had to come in, and even the fact that Bang and Bomb couldn't actually finish him off, it was like none of these guys can actually do anything. So when I saw Sage Centipede, I was like, bruh, this is going to be like Elder Centipede, but 10 times that. And so far, it's been half of that.
You know what it is? It's the fact that he took the time to actually draw out and show us the actions. It hasn't been the same here. Even after Water, we've been talking, maybe not as much. I've mentioned it once or twice, but nobody really picked up on it or elaborated upon it or necessarily agreed with it. But I felt like a lot of these situations have been rushed or they've been resolved too quickly or they haven't been given the same attention as other threats beforehand have. And it's the reason why I say it's rushed is because we've had a different pacing in the beginning of this arc. If the pacing was the same the entire time, you wouldn't be able to tell. And I know that there are other reasons as to why you would say the pacing should change or can change or would change, such as it's the climax portion, so things might start happening faster or to be more exciting. Sure, I could see that as a narrative reason, but I don't know. I just feel like in this current scenario, Sage would have benefited a lot more from getting a longer display or a display where we got in more detail of, like Sundown said, the despair of the characters who are actually fighting him. Because here, like what we got like one or two sentences of Metal Bat and Garou talking about how difficult it would be to overcome a Sage, or at least going through the options that they have for overcoming Sage. I know Garou mentioned that, like, you know, we just hit him from all different sides or whatever, and then Metal Bat was like, how many heroes do you need to do that with? So like it was there's a few different examples that we could give for hype for Sage, but it's nowhere near to his inferior in Elder Centipede.
Yeah, and I think a good litmus test for me was personally in this chapter when Sage Centipede attacks Metal Bat. There wasn't a single point or a single second where I thought Metal Bat's done for today. He's gonna have to rest it out. He's knocked unconscious. I was just thinking, yeah, Metal Bat's about to come back with a huge amount of like fighting spirit. That was my initial reaction because I knew that from what we've seen Sage Centipede do so far, he wasn't about to just one shot Metal Bat or however many shots it took, because it was like quite a few of those arms he got. But yeah, and that's kind of the same thing I'm referring to, where I wasn't concerned for Metal Bat, whereas an enemy like Sage Centipede, we should have a lot of concern for Metal Bat. So that's where I'm disappointed by this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but has Metal Bat ever like gone into an unconscious state while having fighting spirit active? Or is it just the way that he goes pupilless? You know, and I'm just mixing that up.
Yeah, I think you're mixing that up. I mean, you can consider that. I mean, it's difficult. This is anime, but in just One Punch Man, we've seen different portrayals of wide-eyed individuals. I think Atomic had white eyes whenever he was using the blade, and the dialogue. I guess there's some like controversy with the dialogue, but it seemed as if to describe that like the sword took over Atomic spirit or something like that. I don't know the instance, so it could be different than him being knocked out or him not being conscious or him just being, you know, going badass and going wide-eyed. It could be that Metal Bat, was unconscious, but I think the last panel alludes to him being awake there, doesn't it? No,
he's at least bowing out a little bit. That's why I'm wondering if maybe that's going to be what happens, because any other time when, you know, he ends a fight, the fight is over when fighting spirit is still active. So then he doesn't have to fight anymore. But in a fight that's still going on when he, you know, gets exhausted or whatever and fighting spirit is active, will he go into an unconscious, like, berserker rage, maybe?
I don't get exactly what you're saying. Are you saying that, like...
Okay, you know how, like, in, like, a character that's, like, trained their, you know, muscle memory and everything a lot through martial arts, and then even in their sleep they can still fight and defend themselves?
Okay, you're saying that, like, whenever we see white-eyed Metal Bat, he's knocked out, but he's just fighting like
I was
does.
wondering if that had ever happened, but it doesn't seem to be the case always. Because there's so many white-eyed scenes that we could point out as we know they weren't knocked out, you know. But I could see this being a fun setup for that possibility anyway.
I would have loved that to happen for Atomic during the Platinum fight. And I'm
Oh,
not
you
even
would love everything for
nah,
Atomic.
nah, bro. I'm not even trying to give like fake hype or overhype it. Like it would have been badass if like the scene where Garou ran through Platinum to end him and blow him up, if Atomic would have stepped up instead. If he would have cut him like wide eyed and would be like, hey, let me slit through for a second, man. Or let me cut through for a second, man. Or let me slice through for a second, man. Or some shit like that. That would have been that thing, bro. That would have been that thing. And then you have Atomic just fall out right after that. So Garou doesn't have to like, do that thing to him or whatever. Or have that thing done to him by
Sleep,
Atomic.
okay.
Yeah.
Yo, he's going in.
So
It's like, take that, you sword testing monster, you.
no, yeah, because I'm still on it about that whole like the heroes, the threats that they originally fought, they should be the ones to bring it down. Like Darkshine is going, regardless of what anybody says, is going to have a mark against him because he was not able to defeat Garou. Like he fought Garou when he was an inferior to him, and he couldn't beat him. We know why, but he couldn't beat him.
You're ugly as well, or
vomited.
shit,
Yeah,
vomited now.
Yeah, I agree too.
So, and
But
we know that fight can't be resolved now. So
yeah, but that's like Amai's fight though. Like Amai was supposed to like come back and do that thing to vomited, but that's out of the picture. And Phoenix Man never came back to get a revenge on Child or nothing like that. So that's out of the picture. But Zombie did it. Zombie did what I was like hoping all the other heroes would do or expecting. He came back to the surface.
Unexpected one to come back to finish his fight.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, and I was hoping that Atomic would do the same. The Golden he got Golden's arm off before he got knocked out. But Platinum, he should have got right back up after a bit or whatever, and then just finished him off instead of Garou. Then faced off with Garou for a second, but then just fell down or something like that. So we would never seen it. Because coincidentally, the two strongest weapons users in the S class didn't fight Garou with their weapons, or Atomic didn't fight Garou at all, and Flashy didn't fight Garou with his weapon. So I don't know.
I mean, in my opinion, I think not everything being resolved in terms of the one-on-ones that we got is a good thing because it's stuff that we can save for later as far as the characters growing with their own dilemmas that they face. And it's because obviously I won't even say I talked a lot of shit about Darkshine when that chapter rolled around.
Fuck him. You in black, huh?
I still don't fuck with Darkshine, but it's just it's those type of moments where if he does get that growth and we see him in a different light, is going to hit hard. So, situations have happened to me like this where a character is faced with some dilemma that it might not be resolved in whatever arc or volume it's in, but later on that's not forgotten and it's there to progress the character, and it like just that weight actually helps because you're like, oh shit, like I completely hated this character and now like I got a whole different opinion on them. So I definitely think One and Marauder keeping tabs on these characters, like, okay, we saving something for these boys.
I'd love that, especially with the fact that there are still heroes who have not gotten their first appearance. And let's not forget that. Like, I love the fact that we're all manga readers because we can all share the same viewpoint. But like, this is damn near the first big arc. I don't think we've had another big arc in the story before. This is our first big arc, and half the heroes have not gotten their first big boy appearance. Like that's what we're talking about. That's what I meant when I was saying that I wanted them to get the rematch. Like, all the heroes came through and fought a demon, the majority of them, and then they fought dragons. So them beating those dragons was like, okay, yeah, hell yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Some did get a chance to, like in the examples of Darkshine and Atomic, for example, just to name two. I guess Puri Puri, but that doesn't. It's weird. But in that same instance, there are a bunch of other S class who haven't even gotten that opportunity. Individuals like Metal Knight, individuals like Watchdog Man, who haven't even gotten a chance to come out here and do that thing. We technically saw Pig Guide's monster get resolved as well, but it wasn't from him. And he still has a latent ability that we haven't seen anything of yet, or have any clue what it is yet. So that's the part that's so exciting. That unless anybody agrees or has different information or contrasting ideas or a viewpoint, I think that we can see this as the first big arc in the storyline. And and you're telling me that these niggas have even more resolved issues to add upon what the other heroes don't even have a chance to show yet? Hell yeah, man. We getting at least 4 more arcs, man. 4 more big boy arcs.
Oh, I'm just thinking about Watchdog Man watching this junk on the news and still staying in the QC. Like, oh, y'all, world fucked up. Yeah, y'all still got that.
You look at the bottom of the screen. Oh, does that say cute? No, that's a Z.
I think I'll order Chinese food tonight.
Watchdog Man literally chilling, man. That's crazy.
Oh, shit.
I'm waiting for an arc that revolves around his home city. Just so we can fucking see him do something.
Dog. No. That would be like kind of great if we saw him doing like some. I mean, this is One Punch Man, so we see it all the time. But like, he does like some mundane tasks, like getting the cat out of a tree, like just like casual shit like that. Like he cares about the city that much that he's willing on to do little things for it. That'd be pretty cool.
I'd love to get some Spider-Man type shit for Watchdog Man, bro, where he's just hopping around doing his things. I mean, we've obviously seen him just chilling there at the park, and they he likes to chill at the park or whatever. But like, just see the things he has to get into, because they said Q City is one of the more active city for monsters or whatever, and we don't know exactly how involved that statement was in regards to the Monster Association, because we know that they were responsible for a lot of the increased or monster activity. But what is Watchdog Man really dealing with out there? Like, what is an average day for Watchdog Man really look like? Is it just him piling up monsters and just chilling, man? Or does he go to the grocery store and shit too? Like, does he have a...
He don't pile them up. He buries them. You know the big old landfill? That ain't a landfill. That is the remains of his enemies.
Actually, how many S-Class do we have that actually didn't get a chance to show up? Right? I know we got Watchdog is 1, Metal Knight is 2.
Yeah, to look up shit.
Yeah, let me look up the other S-Class.
S-Class. Oh my god. One Punch Man.
Yeah, for the most part, I think they've all kind of had some connection to this art. But...
yeah.
Have they all?
It's mostly, I think, Metal Knight at this point.
I was talking on my ass, bro. Everybody got a chance to show. Hold on, let me see, bro. Let me see.
Yeah, because we even got Drive Knight actually at the...
Damn, Pooty, yes. Tank Top, no, not Tank Top. He did not get a real dragon fight. Stop, bro. Don't let that
Oh,
pumping...
I thought you meant just inclusion in this art.
No, I mean like the ones I'm referring to principally are Flashy Flash, Dark Shine, Pig God, Zombie Man, Child Emperor, Atomic Samurai. Those are the guys who walked into the arc, took on a demon, and then had a dragon come up. And then they resolved it or didn't. And as far as we know, Zombie resolved his. Child had it as well. Child resolved his. Flashy had his. He resolved his, even though they came back to life. And Pooty...
He double resolved it.
Pooty technically didn't resolve his because Drive Knight resolved it instead. So that's what I meant by that. And I guess Drive Knight counts too, but we didn't see what demon he fought. And he beat the dragon, so I guess he counts as well. So I'm technically, in regards to saying who needs the spotlight in the next arc like that to lead an assault, would be Tank Top Master, Metal Bat, Genos, Watchdog Man, Metal Knight, Bang, and that's it. Because Tatsumaki got Giro, and then Psychos, and then Orochi.
Metal Knight is definitely happening.
What you think finna happen with Metal Knight, man?
Bro, they gotta pull something crazy with Metal Knight. They have to, because he's just been that character that pops up here and there, and he just has this cloud of mystery around him. He gotta have it.
do you think it would take away from this kid from Metal Knight or some of these characters, like the mystery and mystique around them? Because that's a thing. Like when concepts or people or ideas or situations lose the mystique or the mystery of them, they also lose a lot of the allure, a lot of the oomph that they bring.
Oof, you telling me, boy? When Toby took off that mask and said, "I am Obito," oh my god,
the hype was gone. Obito, stop! Hey, go on, man.
Oh my god,
Bro, that whole Madara's in a tree backstory shit, that was like weak, man. Weak, bro.
that's the first thing that came around when you said, like, you know, you take out the veil, the mystique is gone. Yeah, that hit me hard. But One Punch Man could do it in an interesting way to where maybe we don't get any like inner monologue for him, or like even then still like we don't know his true intentions. There's been characters that I've seen where they may get like focused for a little bit. I don't know how you would do it for a whole arc, but they've been implementing a lot of chapters where you still don't know exactly like what they're up to, but they get a lot of shine and you can kind of just enjoy whatever they're doing. So I feel like eventually Metal Knight is going to get, you know, he's not going to be the mysterious guy in One Punch Man. Eventually, all the cards are going to be left on the table. But yeah, there's a lot of different avenues they can go with that character.
It'd be even cooler if after this arc, they just go back to the Hero Association or whatever, and they find Metal Knight dead. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh my god, the
or
Sundown!
To pull a Naruto, he removes his faceplate and he's like, I was the real Genos all along.
One Punch Man finna get dropped. You telling me what?
Oh shit.
Nah, what I want to see is, I want to see the heroes go back, they find him dead, and on his body is a receipt from the Mad Cyborg. That would be...
Oh my
that'd
god.
Be kind of, no. That'd be kind of raw. That'd be kind of raw. Like, no. I'm just thinking about the receipt part. Like it was a higher hit. Like that'd be kind of raw.
Oh, damn, they killing heroes now? Nigga, stop, bro. Shit. I mean, Flashy said he did have hella niggas come after him, so... You know, we never know, but there's a lot of stuff that could happen, bro. That's why it's so badass. Like, that's why I'm so mad that they killed off Pure Blood. That's why it's so hype that the two ninjas are still around, because now we have three ninjas that have already given backstories about the village. And nigga, who else, man? Now we have another female ninja too, bro. Like there's a lot of potential that could even be added into this shit. Like the whole Ugmon thing with the Mai. I don't really know or haven't heard about the Ugmon concept outside of just One Punch Man, so there's not much hype behind that. But if One Punch Man's gonna build the lore for Ugmon, or if that's already a thing, and they're like gonna be the first big storyline to publicize it, or if I'm just like not well read enough to have experienced other stories who describe Ugmon from like Japanese narratives or whatever, then nigga, I'm here for it, man. Like, what are Ugmons, bro? Like, why can this nigga's face break? Why can you stab him in the eye and then he just like heals back up? Are you really a monster? What are you wearing, bro? Is that tech, bit?
Like, sure, that's just One Punch Man.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
I think they're just trying to monsterify, you know, a human, but still have the most human-like traits.
It kind of reminds me like an ogre or something like that.
That way, yeah. Towards the end, I could definitely see that with Ugly. God damn. All those faces. I miss those days.
Bro, Ugly, oh my god. Just earlier today in Discord, I was hyping up, like, homeless is just everything, bro. Like, oh boy, was that thing. But Fuhrer, bro? Oh! Fuhrer had that dialogue, bro. Fuhrer was devastating. Fuhrer was the definition of dirty, bro. Like, when you think about dirty, Fuhrer Ugly come up, bitch. Like, that nigga was just, bro. And then the panels where he had knocked out Bang and Tatsumaki, and he was like, I wonder what kind of panties he wearing. I was like, nigga, stop.
He definitely grimy, man.
My
He's
boy.
a grimy boy.
Like, it's like character like that, bro, personality like that you want to see from these monsters. Because we don't, to be honest, and the reality of the situation is, we don't get to spend a lot of time with these monsters. We don't. Like, one of the most sucked characters in the series is Goketsu. And he was in the story for barely 4 or 5 chapters, bro. Wasn't even really in a whole full fight, bitch. Had his fight off screen. And niggas stuck him with knee pads, bitch. Niggas will go out of their way to buy knee pads to suck Goketsu, bitch. Like,
They'll do it. They'll use him as a comparison. As for some reason he's a benchmark, even though we didn't really get that much to him. So I have to wonder what the hell happened in the webcomic with him. Maybe there was more.
is I know we bring this up all the time, and it's actually pretty fun. I like it, at least, to talk about the prospects of who's gonna move up after this arc and what people have done. What is gonna be the acknowledgement for it, and how should we really see some of these characters that are not in the S class? So Gear Spur. Whoa. What's up, bro? Is he still going up? Like, what are your thoughts on Gear Spur?
The stock definitely is raised. But I'm pretty sure I said this when we were talking about him. The Esper powers are just broken. Esper powers are crazy. Like, the only thing about Gear Spur is just his control over it is janky. If he gets control over his powers, he is like his bait, his floor is B class, and then his ceiling is like, depending on like what training he does or whatever, like his ceiling is I don't even know. Because like Esper powers just have so much versatility. You know, in this chapter he used it as support, but like I'd even know he could do what he did in this chapter.
I think I prefer some of these Espers as support besides Tatsumaki. We can't have too many duplicates of the same power set. Like, we have them in the different classes, like niggas that punch, niggas that kick, niggas that slash, but they all have different traits or costumes or methods of doing it or different styles. So I definitely agree that the versatility of psychic users is tremendous in this series. He may be the most versatile ability, but I don't want him to be like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say I don't want him to be. I think he's like a great prospect for anything. And did y'all see those Mizuki cheeks in that panel?
Yeah, I peeped.
Suki-chan!
I wanted to lick them cheeks. But yeah, Gear Spur is like, in my personal opinion, he's A class, man. I mean, like, we should definitely see his reception after this, like how he's responding. Is he like taking the initiative in combat, or is he still big pussy?
Like I said, it's more just the control. Like if he got the control, I can't really combat that. Like I would say so. He definitely has, or is more capable than some of the A class I've seen.
Isn't this an example of him taking initiative? Like, so technically he's like did he also attack Neon? Is he not like A class material, top A class, top 10?
Potentially. The only issue, like he has that power. It's just like I said, the consistency is lacking, and I can't really say that about other S class or A class heroes like Yarn Bushido Drip. Like they're going to have that, like the power they have is the power you see. It doesn't fluctuate. With him, it's like he'll get off with a big attack and that's it.
I dare say if he does get over that issue, he could be like low, if not mid S class in the next couple arcs. Because I mean, hell, compare him to most of the S class at this moment. You know, like the more physical fighters. He could probably neutralize, if not defeat, more than a handful of them. Because, you know, like, I could say that he could even go up against, like, say, Darkshine. You know, it's like you reduce the friction. You know, he like levitates him and just kind of sends him away. It's like, I've defeated you. Boom. You drowned in the ocean. Yeah, something like that. It could be something for the future, but yeah, his power consistency is he's like an on-off switch. Sometimes he is just off, other times he is so on that it's like, damn, now we got to pay the electric bill. Shit.
I'm trying to see what heroes are in A class. To see if he beats them, but shit is weird. Blue Fire, you guys remember him?
Who?
Blue Fire?
Blue Fire, let's
Sound familiar, but no, I don't.
When
I
Garou
recognize
first showed
the name.
up, he broke this guy. He ripped this guy's arm off because he had a flamethrower in his under his sleeve. Whenever it was Sitcha called a meeting for all the monsters. Garou showed up, and Blue Fire
Oh.
and this other guy were next to him.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do the screen share shit. Nah, let me not do that. It's gonna fuck up the computer, bro.
I at least know what like moment you're talking about though with Garou.
Chain and Toad,
Yeah.
Death Gatling.
hmm
You think Gearspur can beat Death Gatling, bit?
Oh, we're saying who you can beat. I thought you were just saying like you remember it. Nah, he gonna light his ass up. He ain't gonna have no opportunity for all that shit.
Feather. Remember the guy with Wolverine claws?
Let me look. Feather.
Before we get close enough. Most of these close range fighters, they'd be kind of screwed. Unless they're
Oh.
just fast enough.
I do not remember this nigga. Who did he fight?
He joined the assault team on the surface. Whenever they were first coming, when other monsters showed up or whatever. When they were taking on Evil Eye's assault team.
Oh.
Amai was looking at him like, oh, so that's that's that fancy style people been talking about.
Okay.
How about
She.
how about Lightning Genji versus Gearspur?
Okay, like here's the thing about Gearspur. It depends on like the situation you put them in. If they are like if it's like a tournament style thing, I think Gearspur is going to get beat more often than not. But if it's a situation to where like the battlefield is like Z City or something, and he can get distance away, I think he's beating a lot of people because I think it's just him getting off the attack. If
Yeah,
he's
bro.
focused on taking someone out and he has the time to do it, I mean, what can they really do?
Y'all here giving me video ideas, bro. Should we then be considering or ranking some of these heroes based on like their hero work or like?
I mean, it would be an interesting thing if you did like ranks based on power rather than what their actual ranks is, because the ranks that are already given to us are an amalgamation of
You already do
the
that.
hero work and all that.
So the tier
What's
list
up?
is, man. We already do that.
So
Oh,
many of them, we've
yeah.
only seen like a few to one-time appearances, and it's like, how the hell are you this high sometimes, you know?
Mm.
Like Butterfly DX. I don't even remember this guy.
Oh, I do. This is the guy who saved Wagunma during the EC attack. Bro, there was two guys who saved Wagunma. Metal Bat was like, "Hey, take the kid, bitch."
Oh, yeah.
Or do I have it wrong? Because here on the wiki it says, and this is the guy who was trying to stop 100 Eyes with Death Gatling and Bone. Yeah, I'm thinking of the wrong nigga.
It's like this has nothing to do with Wakama.
Yeah, this is one of the boys out that was out there. Yeah. Bro, Bone is that thing. Hey, what level is Bone?
Let's see here. He is. Oh, I think he's a
B class rank 77. Stop, bro. Bone versus Eon Young would be a toss up, bitch. A blockbuster. Yo, Bone is that thing.
Well, that's if he can drink any of the milk.
They can have little milk patches or pouches, bro. Or he hangs around Child will give him a little drone or some shit like that that'll, drop a milk or some shit. Low key, that's what we might see next. Some support from S class.
I wonder if they're going to like One Punch Man would ever do something to where like, I mean, like this was a failed idea of it, but thinking about the Narinki group, like what if you had someone who, their whole thing was based on their weapons or the gear they have, because there's a lot of like swordsmen, whatever, and you can say like, oh, they don't got their swords or whatever weapon, they're weakened, but they're still strong individuals without their weapons. So I wonder if there's going to be a time where there's just someone who's like ain't shit without like the weapons make them, basically.
We kind of seen that one-shotter. Literally, his gun fucking jammed in this chapter. And he's like, see what I'm talking about? Kind of.
But no, what, see, like, that's kind of shaky because, like, what makes him that rank, at least in my eyes, is his marksmanship. So if he were to have, like, another weapon or something, then.
Which for some reason he doesn't, which is fucking dumb if he keeps jamming all the goddamn time. Either get that resolved or have a backup.
Like I'm kind of saying like where like they have no skills and the weapon is, like,
well, I'd
even
say
a baby
probably
could do it.
Wildhorn is probably in that category then, because all he had was that pile driver weapon. We didn't really see him do much of anything else. And then there's Gun. He's another one that if he didn't have a gun, he'd probably be fucked. There's the Butcher. I don't remember at all.
Gun, bruh. These names, man.
I know, right? Well, we have Pineapple. I love him because he's a pineapple. There's Recluse Samurai. He's so reclusive, I didn't know he existed. And then Mushroom. Yeah, some of these names, goddamn, they are ridiculous. But yeah, like there's basically as you go out of, I'd say, A class, you're definitely seeing that more often than not. Because they're either very gimmicky or they rely solely on some piece of equipment. Which, I mean, you see that even in S class, but like they usually have some variety or some supplemental skills that flow into their overall character and dynamic. But it mostly just becomes like one-trick ponies the lower their ranking.
Very, very specialized.
Like shoulder pads. It's like, I'm a Saiyan cosplayer.
You know who has shoulder pads this chapter? Platinum Garou.
Oh yeah. That did happen.
They got fucking big as shit.
So the sequence of events is Sage catches Garou. Starts to squeeze the heck out of him, but Garou notices the helicopter. In that instance where Gear Spur and One Shotter are able to distract Sage by shooting him in the eye, Garou seems to get even more big, strong cock diesel. And then he goes off. The chapter elaborated upon how Garou and Metal Bat were feeding off of each other as if to be like a turbine where N2 turns N1. Perpetual energy. is Garou that thing now? Like, the obstacles are done. The Garou that we're talking about, the boosted big strong cock diesel Garou, punched a hole through Sage Centipede right after Metal Bat managed to crack his carapace. Crazy feat for him in terms of strength. We've finally seen what we were hearing about all this time. But before we get to Metal Bat, is Platinum Garou like it? Like, can this guy take on Saitama? Or would Tatsumaki smack him? Can Genos fight Garou right now? Like, how do you feel about this?
He's definitely in the upper echelon of what we've seen in the story currently. That's what this indication is, at least to me. Especially, even though I don't think Sage Centipede has showed it, when him and Eva Ocean were like introduced, it's like right now we're at the pinnacle of the power. Like the mother or this is like they are these entities to where like they could threaten the world. Like that's the vibe you get when they were introduced. And Garou's, fighting them. Even though it's, with help from Metal Bat, he's still doing his own thing. I don't think anybody is touching, like, Saitama is always the person I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt in any situation. Unless, like, someone has to beat him for me to change my mind.
Hold on, Satsuki.
What's up?
I think I fired way too early on that question. Because, god damn, this shit fire as hell doing this reread, bro. Instead of talking about Garou being close to Saitama, fuck that, bro. We know Saitama finna clap.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh. Metal Bat? Let's go back to him, bitch. Yo! My boy Cock Diesel, bitch. He said we got no damn choice but to stop this thing. I'll handle this. Yo! He talking to Garou, bitch. Yo, how hype? As much as niggas want to complain about, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, but the power scale and blah, 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 blah. How Cock Diesel? How hype? How raw was Metal Bat in this chapter, bro?
See, that's one of the things where I feel when I said at the beginning, some things happen in this chapter, which I'm happy because I had issues with it last chapter. Last chapter I had an issue with Metal Bat being able to do what he did, because Metal Bat's whole thing with the fighting spirit is he has to be harmed, he has to be hyped up, like he has to progress to get to the level. And there was no real progression last chapter. Here, it was there. Like, he was steadily fighting and fighting and fighting. I was like, okay. Like, I've always said, Metal Bat, the way they present him in a story, his power doesn't really have a limit. So, what he did in this chapter, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's Metal Bat. That's literally what he does. They don't give him a cap. In his fight with Garou, where he was about to crack his fucking skull open, before that incident, he was losing that fight. That's what it is. He was losing. But he was about to get off the kill shot on him because that's just how fighting spirit works. If you don't kill that boy, if you don't kill him, you in for some trouble.
Shit dirty, bro. That shit dirty, bro. My boy, Sundown, bro. Metal Bat.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. When I saw it, I was like, damn, but having said that, being a bit more objective, what I didn't like about it was the fact that literally the page before, we see Garou in his like tanked up form, and he's had like Zenkai boost upon Zenkai boost. He's super powerful, platinum spin like it was nothing, flashy flash, all these guys. He couldn't break through the antenna of Sage Centipede. And then we got to see Metal Bat come in and just slash through it like it was nothing. Now I understand Metal Bat has just received a whole bunch of damage, so his fighting spirit is like probably at an all-time high. I'm not sure if it's the highest we've ever seen it. Probably is. But even then, I'm just like, but Garou couldn't break through it just like literally the page before. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But in terms of just how hype it was and how it looked, I was like, damn, that looks pretty sick.
Keishan, before you go, answer this question too. Doesn't this confirm that Metal Bat would have killed EC?
It all depends on if he actually got a Zenkai boost and if that's even, workable. But I'd say if he survives in a fight, especially if it goes on long enough, if this is the kind of heights that he can go to with his fighting spirit, it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities. Quite feasible.
This shit literally means that he could have gotten to this point, because we're not here entertaining some shit where like Metal Bat got a boost, right? People were out of their ass, and I wouldn't use this against them, claiming that Metal Bat doesn't retain any of the fighting spirit boosts. He doesn't get stronger like that. Okay, fine. That means that all the time, the whole time, he was this kind of a tank, bitch. You could smash on Metal Bat, but now he's Big Strong Cock Diesel. But actually, that doesn't make sense. He had to have gotten stronger after the EC beating, all right, and after the Garou Metal Bat first fight. He had to have gotten stronger from that. Because if not, then somebody like Garou could have gotten him to the point that he was at the end of this fight. Garou like that. Because that's what the implication was, that like, yes, he had been through senior Centipede in the boys. Yes, EC had did that thing to him a little bit. But Metal Bat did the most, but Garou did the most damage to Metal Bat. So having him be able to kill Garou while being knocked out by Zenko immediately after, that says something about his durability. Now here, Sage has done substantially more damage than Hero Hunter Garou could have ever done to Metal Bat. And he's eating it like a sandwich, bitch. He's out here doing that thing to Sage. So he got stronger while he was in the hospital. That was a stronger Metal Bat.
Yeah. What's the question?
For Keishan, how'd you feel about Metal Bat out here doing that thing to niggas?
I mean, unless we get full explanation of him, like why he's able to pull off the feats that he is now, I'm just going to consider it as, just progressively getting stronger. We don't necessarily need the explanation, but it would be nice. Like maybe that he's, gained new thresholds of his fighting spirit because his durability has gone up through, fighting and all that. And then that just means like, what was it? You Sundown saying that it's like this is the highest we've ever seen him, likely at this point. So it's like that would maybe feed into that thought. So
okay, I see what you're saying. Additional dialogue to verify or compensate.
Yeah, it just a nice bow to put on it, because I mean we can speculate all day if it is or isn't, and we have.
Isn't that the point technically? Like they do that, right? Mangakas?
They typically do, yes, but it's not always clear right off the bat. Sometimes it can go a long period of time before it's fully confirmed or we know the full extent of something, but it is the trend, I'll say.
Because they do that for movies. I know I've heard of mangakas doing that too, or talking about that. They're like, oh, I'm just leaving that for speculation or whatever, or oh, I don't know, saying shit like that.
Oh, I hate that shit. They do that because they don't want to have to write more of a story. They're like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this bullshit. But yeah, I enjoyed what he was doing, but a little explanation to how he's doing it would be nice, because as we've discussed, this chapter's kind of been controversial because of what he's achieved in this chapter. Because I mean, just to just the chapter before, he was basically nothing. Now he's doing actual damage. I mean, it's being somewhat mitigated because of the healing organ heart thing, but still, it's showing progress that doesn't really have much footing other than, oh, he got stronger because he nearly died. Or whatever. So, but yeah, I liked his show of force this chapter.
What were your opinions on first the coordination or the unspoken coordination between Garou and Metal Bat, and then the explanation for why they were so coordinated, even though they hadn't tried to coordinate, the kind of resonance and what was the other one? Resonance and amplification.
Yeah, I think it's not out of the realm of like possibility. Like it could definitely happen. Like if you're in the same industry or in the same task, like for example, whenever they do the for football, like the All American games, the Pro Bowl or stuff like that, those are different teams who play with different styles or whatever, and they happen to play just fine. A lot of times they even have great chemistry, or it's a lot more pronounced in soccer. Like you don't really see that much in the pros because they practice so well and their skills are so refined. But like on an amateur level, if you haven't played with some guys before, you don't know when they're gonna pass or how they pass or like, how good their ball control is. If you should be more open for them to pass to give them help, or if you should just be making runs so they can get the ball downfield. Like you don't know. You don't know how each other plays. So it's I could definitely see the fact that they're both fighters. That not only have they fought each other before, but like their opponent is pretty. They've already discussed quite a bit actually how straightforward they have to attack the individual. So I don't think that they've made of like. I don't think that it's implausible or incorrect or an ass pull for them to coordinate it without speaking like that. Like, hey, I'm hitting up here. All right, I'm gonna hit down here, big. We finna hit them both at the same time. Or you going up there? All right, bet. Nah, I already hit him over there. Move, bet. Bam. Like, you don't even gotta say that. So you just move around or whatever.
Yeah, it can also just be an instinct thing. Like you said, these guys are fighters, so I mean, if you see someone attacking one way, like you're just gonna naturally, okay, like I'm going this way then, and it's pretty simple. Like there wasn't any complex fighting involved for them to need coordination. Like, hey, bro, I want you to hit that 24th leg real quick. Like he ain't have to do all that. Hey, bro, like as fast as you can, beat his ass. That's it.
Yeah, I suppose the only issue I had with it was I understood that through this resonance they were amplifying each other. I really liked that. I was like, cool, okay, they're kind of almost competing, and just being in each other's presence is raising each other's game. I just didn't see that really as an explanation for their coordination. I was like, yeah, it seems like you're using a lot of words to try and explain their coordination, whereas really it wasn't really well explained. But I do see
wasn't even well drawn. Like I don't see the coordination. What are you talking about? Like they didn't even have to write the dialogue for coordination. It wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, like that's kind of the issue I had, which was when I was reading through that whole spiel. I was like, okay, cool. They're resonating, amplifying each other. Cool. I don't see how this involved any form of coordination or anything like that.
I could feel that. I could respect that.
I mean, the other interpretation, because I haven't read the dialogue again, but like what I remember was that like it's when you see like somebody like getting really really hype or doing really well in the game, and that makes you compete just as much. Or if how you happen to sometimes play to the skill level of your opponent, it sometimes plays against you because if your opponent is not as good as you, then like that's happened to me on the football field before. I've had this experience. I've had coaches correct us because we're doing that, because we're playing to their skill level. While if the team is better than you, that also happens to be the case sometimes. where you're playing to their skill level. Like I remember being, our team was an inferior team to the team that we were playing at the time it was during high school in our county or whatever. They were the top team in the county, but we happened to keep them at 0 score the entire half, or they were blowing out all the other teams in the county by like 21 by halftime. And I was on defense. Through our defense, we were sitting there. We couldn't really move the ball that much, but like we were playing to all of their best players. They had a top receiver in the state. Their quarterback led the county. And their defense was really good, and they had a bunch of like fast guys or whatever. But like, like we played to their skill level. So that's the feeling that I got from it. That like it wasn't necessarily a coordination type thing, but like Garou was fighting to Metal Bat's skill level or to the competition, and so was Metal Bat.
Oh. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
So Garou punched a hole through Sage.
Yeah.
What'd you think when that happened?
I expected it. I expected him to get his ass whooped. It's just a matter of time. I mean, like the punch itself, it's like, yeah, okay. What followed it is kind of what I don't like, because it's a little too similar to Melzagard for me. I
What's
didn't
wrong
really
with
like that.
Melzagard, man? You didn't like Melzagard?
No, I'm talking about the whole, like, go for the core type of deal. I don't really like that. I mean, there's got to be some way to defeat him, so it is what it is. But I'm just like, I wish they would have did something a little more creative.
The narrative of it all, of where Garou mentions like, I think I've seen this before.
Hey, don't go there yet. Let's go next. We're just talking about
still, it's a fun thing.
What'd you think, Sundown?
Yeah, I wish it was a bit more of a creative way that they finished him. The punch itself looked okay. Nothing too amazing. I've forgotten if there was. So the thing I was thinking here was, did Genos ever go inside Elder Centipede, or did anybody ever go inside the guy?
Yeah, Genos.
Yeah, and he started like wreaking havoc inside, right?
Yeah, he hit him with a super Spire incineration cannon, or a Spire incineration cannon.
Yeah, and I was like, man, did that never hit Elder Centipede's heart, like at all? Because our boy Sage Centipede seems to be a little bit concerned now that his heart is missing. Maybe he has multiple hearts because he doesn't seem to die instantly. I'm hoping he does. But actually, is this called his heart, or is it specifically called his regeneration core or something like that?
Regeneration core, yeah.
It feels to just be specifically that.
It's still the same thing. Is the same concept for. I didn't want to talk about it, but fucking Sundown and Keishan. All right, so it's the same for this guy, and it brings up a lot of questions too, right? So like, does that mean that Orochi has a regeneration core? Because Saitama didn't blow that. We didn't see him destroy that. What else does it make you ask? Oh yeah, is Orochi alive? Like, what's up with that? Is Orochi Sage? Why do you have the same core that Orochi has? Are you like a being of Orochi? Did Sage eat a monster cell? Why was Sage talking about God? How did you get a core? Why like what's going on here? Those are my questions, bro. Because we still have all those pieces and all those clues here up in the air, and nobody's really talking about. Nobody's really mentioning. People are just complaining about Sage not being super duper cock diesel. But who is God, Sage? Who are you talking about? What gods?
I don't know what buddy was on.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I thought he was just simply drawing a comparison to Orochi in the sense of, yeah, I saw him have something similar, so that's why I could sense it in you. But I never thought of, has Sage actually taken that from Orochi? Somehow I doubt it. I just think they have very similar
I mean,
regenerative
you
capacities.
remember what the hype and confusion was, right? That we thought that when Sage came up that he was going to be Orochi, but it turned out to be a whole different monster. And now,
yeah, because yeah.
And now in that same instance here, that we're getting inside of him, Nomo, he has a core that looks exactly like Orochi's. That Garou says it is Orochi's, or says it reminds him of Orochi's. What's going on here? And you're talking about God? Like, all those things cannot have already been related in the story, and we get this information and Sage isn't also involved. He has to somehow be involved with that. Either God has blessed this thing, and just like he blessed Homeless and gave him big strong cognitive power, so he's involved with God like that. And then the question becomes, why do you have a core like Orochi? Sure, maybe there are just types that have cores like Orochi's. Sure. Or maybe this guy happens to somehow also be involved with Orochi. Does that mean that Sage is the boosted or blessed version of Orochi? Is this what Orochi looks like or turned into when he got blessed by God? Like, where's the scorpion shit? Is that the case? Why are you talking about God now, Orochi? Is Sage not Orochi? Sage is his own character, right? He's not Orochi. He's a separate character. Like, these are the questions, bro. Like, why was he talking about God, and why do you have a core like Orochi? Where is Orochi?
She is a component of the two representations of the planet Earth. One got the regeneration factor of Orochi, and the other one got his relative size and accumulative ability to just bring more into itself. Maybe. I don't know. The second one's a little iffy, but I think the first makes a little more sense. Because remember the whole thing with the sacrifice of Orochi at the end of, in that temple, right before they appeared and everything. It's like, Orochi's gone, but now we're seeing an element of him reappear? Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I personally think that Garo has just recognized that this is a very similar mechanism of regeneration to Orochi, but I can see why you would think, wait a second, like Sage Centipede might have actually stolen something, as in he might have seen this regeneration core from Orochi and taken it himself, or he could kind of quote unquote be Orochi. I think that's the least likely of the three options. So either having just a very similar regeneration kind of mechanism, or he took something from Orochi once Orochi was kind of dead in that lava, or he is Orochi. Yeah, I think it's the first one personally, that he just has a very similar means of regeneration, and maybe this is something that's shared by a lot of the top tier monsters, especially the ones with regenerative capacity. And maybe it's different for people like Black Sperm, which is why he was so difficult to deal with.
It's
Hopefully
definitely
in the next chapter we'll get some answers, because I mean he's still alive as of the end of the chapter. He's just can't regenerate like he could. So I imagine he'll be like expositing some thoughts. He'd be like, "Oh shit." That either he'll be like, "He just got rid of my trump card," or he'll mention that this was a gift from God, maybe because of the ritual sacrifice of Orochi, and it was like, I got this piece of him. It's like, shit, now that's gone. This fight is like totally gone tits up for me.
You think he's gonna say this fight has gone tits up for me?
Yes, hit many tits because he is a centipede.
Wait, who was that?
It will be a train of tits.
I thought it was Matt for a second.
I was thinking the same thing. I said, "Yo, I wasn't looking at it. VC. I was like, "Yo, Matt came in here."
Yeah. I was like, what? So, I guess on a final point, we've already addressed how Garou, threw the core into the sky, and it seems like him rushing up, as Sage is rushing up for it, is a play to, I guess, bait Sage, whatever the case is. I want to focus on Metal Bat putting his hope in Garou. Like, this is a monster, is it not? Like, the pretense or pretending that Garou is evil should be out of the picture now. So what are we... Like, am I the only one who's, like, still bugged by the fact that Garou's doing something good or hero work? We know why he's doing it. Yes, it's to protect Tadio. Yes, obviously, fine. But it's not... It doesn't seem like he would not work with any hero right now to save Tadio. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like he would do anything to save Tadio. Like, there wouldn't be any quarrel with him doing good. Maybe it's the fact that it was Metal Bat that it was so friendly. Sure. But like is Garou not a hero now?
Nah. Nah, I still don't think Garou is a hero. I mean, based off of everything else he's done, and everything else he's kind of done recently, even though he might have been unconscious.
Puri raped men!
I'm not... At what point did I say Puri was a good guy?
Oh, sorry, I'm saying that.
Why he's low tier S class. They're like, we have to realize his power, but he is doing in some ways more good than he has evil. So we're gonna give him a pass because, well, for God's sakes, we can't even keep him in prison for God's sakes. So it's like, what are we supposed to do?
Hey, look, man. I think everyone on this podcast has gone down on paper as saying, we do not support Puri and the things he does. He be out here with that prison booty, man. But yeah. So I don't think we can class Garou as a hero, given everything that he's done and given everything that he's still trying to do with his whole, I want to be the guy that is seen as the Monster King kind of thing. But he is doing things which are slightly more, well, definitely more on the heroic side with Tadio being involved. And I think that comes back down to, and I remember saying this when we first kind of saw Garou's reasoning for why he wanted to be a monster. And I think we all agreed that his reasoning was very kind of self-centered, almost childish in the sense that, he wanted to be that guy that, kind of changed the way that society was because society didn't really accept him. And his example was how he was treated at school or something like that. And I was like, man, that's a really isolated incident for him to base the entirety of society on. And I think this comes back down to that, which is his reasoning for being a monster was never particularly good to begin with. So I think him partnering up with Metal Bat and showing more heroic tendencies kind of just fans the flames of that idea, which is, yeah, he seems to be a very confused individual that has very valid qualms with hero society and with society at large, but his way of approaching it is just incredibly bad, incredibly the wrong way of doing things. So that's kind of my take on it, which is, yeah, he's doing heroic stuff, but I think his ethos and his methodologies are very questionable.
Satsuki?
So
This is the exact question.
Is Garou a hero?
Oh. I feel like I'll be answering these shits other podcasts.
So, bruh,
To me,
he just did some more hero shit.
To me, Garou's going to end up as the final antagonist, the person that Saitama's going to actually fight. But okay, let's just judge his actions now. He's not a hero. He's done heroic things for sure, but it's still like, even though we have heroes that do things for selfish reasons and whatnot, like Garou just has that one thing with Tario. If it isn't that, he's not saving those people in the helicopter. He's not. His intentions are to just hurt niggas in this arc. That's what he's been doing. I feel like the trajectory of his character is going to end up in a place where he's an anti-hero, something of the sort, vigilante. I think this chapter is just showing you the route for something like that. Because if we didn't get something like this, and there's there's other moments with him and Tario that shows that he's not a complete psychopath or he's not a true monster or anything like that. But this reinforces that idea that he still has a heart. He's not, despite everything that's happened, he's not like I said, he's not a true monster. So no, he's not a hero. You could definitely question his villainy. If you had to ask me, he sits in a gray area still. More so on the villain side, but still not completely all the way there.
Keishan?
As I mentioned, it'd be a hard sell for the world of One Punch Man for him to become a hero. But as long as he has that sliver of humanity left in him, things could potentially change in the future, but it would be a long ass process. I don't see it coming around full circle for a very long time if he doesn't die in the next arc or so. But just I'd say he could become like a unofficial ally of the heroes. Like Metal Bat kind of be the bridge, be like, hey, can we kind of let this dude like live? I know he's done horrible shit, but like he's kind of helped us also when we were in kind of a tight, fix there. And that could happen again. So can he just kind of go about his life, and if he wants to help us, he helps us. If not, as long as he's not hurting us, we don't do anything to him. I could see that happening, maybe.
Feel like he could, like, something that they could do is treat him as a criminal, but not a monster. Like, in the word of law, he's a bad guy, but when it comes to hero work, they don't pursue him because he isn't necessarily a threat to humanity or anything like that. So, like, obviously, like, police aren't going to try to arrest him unless they don't value their lives. But that's when
Furry 2.0, then. It's like, we can't keep him in prison.
Yeah. I mean, you not putting no cuffs on Garou. Not if you're a regular dude. But like, you could see something like bounty hunters come into play with something like that. Like they put a price on his head. They could do something like that.
Old bounty hunters.
But I don't know. I don't think he's going to be classified as a monster when it's all said and done. They're going to treat him the same way they treat any other regular monster.
Man, have y'all considered that Puri Puri is actually more of a villain than Garou?
I've considered that many times.
Probably more of a monster too.
What's worse, to jump a bunch of heroes
just kill my
or
victims.
to take booty?
Puri Puri wasn't even kind enough to kill the guys he did that thing to, man. He let them live with the shame.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like he lets you live with that pain and keep enduring that pain because he probably keeps doing it.
Then he's just like not self-aware either. That's the crazy part about it.
Well, that's just the psychology of criminals. Some of them don't necessarily believe that they're actually doing anything wrong, because being a sociopath means that your perception and social awareness and just social skills in general don't mesh with the norm, and you can be totally thinking it's like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like, this is fine by my morality. It's like, you just killed a school of orphans. They were going to the hospital to save all of their lives and donate blood and blah, blah. It's like, nah, they deserve to die.
Light work.
What?
It's light work. That ain't shit.
Like, that's what I do every Tuesday. That's why you don't
Yeah.
see no orphans in this town anymore.
Yo, this podcast is taking a dark turn, man.
Yes.
Tripping, bro.
And
It's
it
getting
can only
spray
get
tan
dark.
like Darkshine.
All right. So we did have some badass panels, like that, badass attack that Sage did, or he was just like devastating Z City. Um, there was also, the badass panels of Garou and Metal Bat, stancing up, looking cockdees next to each other. Just a depiction of distance and gargantuan size that Sage got was also satisfactory. And those like close up panels of like his tail or body moving along, tremendous. Um, all in all, the Mizuki cheeks probably took the cake. Um, there were some pretty nice or intimidating panels of Sage this chapter. Like whenever we saw the helicopter, and then you see like a faded out image of Sage right underneath it. That was pretty badass, and it made you like, hey, look at it for quite a bit. It was badass. So I'm hoping to see more great art like that. I'm hoping to see more in depth art where we're not skipping through panels, skipping through fights. And I'm hoping to get 155 pages in 159.
Boy. Shit. Okay.
It's the 500 hour or the 5-hour podcast right there.
Yeah.
I said 500 hour. Like, goddamn, what could we talk about for that long?
All right, boys. We'll see you next time. Yo ho ho!